Welcome to the Sleeman Center, the site of the 3HL Guelph games. Dalton Finkbeiner here with Ian Duffy, and we are ready for the first game of the afternoon between the London 3's and the Oshawa 88's. We mentioned earlier that the London 3's have a big addition back, Charlie Stevens, and here's the look of today. The first game, London 3's, Oshawa 88's, Newmarket Saints, Milton Flyers, Guelph Brewers, Toronto Bees, and the Kitchener Lions and the Markham Millionaires. But we begin with the London 3's and Oshawa 88's, and as I was just saying before, Charlie Stevens back in the lineup for the London 3's. And, you know, Ian, on New Year's Day, he was arguably the best player on the ice.
Oh, I think there's no doubt about it. He's a guy that makes a massive impact right off the get-go. I think even just London knowing they have him back in the lineup, they'll be playing with a lot of confidence today. And it kind of takes the stress off, I think, a lot of the other players. You know, there's not as much pressure on some of the other guys now to provide that offense. Not that Charlie Stevens is going to come out here and be a one-man show and score all the goals himself, but he does such a good job setting the other guys up. He's just such a calm presence on the ice, and that'll be very obvious to people very soon. You really can't understate how valuable he is to this team, his ability to score, possess the puck. Because he's such a big guy and he's so strong on the puck, when he does get it, it's almost impossible to get it off him. Yeah. It's not like, you know, 5-on-5 hockey where you can there's a lot of board play. You don't see as much of that in the 3-on-3. I mean, you will see some of it, but you really can't afford to commit two bodies to getting the puck off someone in 3-on-3. So he'll be a big impact today. Cam Salt back in the lineup too. That's another guy. I think, well, it'll be interesting to see if they kind of reignite or reunite, I should say, that big three they almost had going in Toronto, because that line was providing a ton of offense. We'll see what they choose to do. I think they have a couple more bodies today than they did back then, so it'll be interesting to see how they come back together. But they're facing an Oshawa team that has a bit of a point to prove themselves. Yeah, I know we mentioned it in the pregame show. This 88's team, 1-3 on the season, but we talked about it. Now it seems to be a little bit of an arms race here in the 3HL, with guys trying to load up firepower for the final stretch of the 3HL Tour season. And this 88's team has made some new additions, and, you know, Captain Mitch Scott is confident that these new players can help them get over the hump and have a deep tournament run here. You know, we maybe haven't talked about Daniel Ehrlich in this pregame as much as we should have, but I think he's a guy that you'll see a big impact from him. And obviously you can see Ehrlich on the name, but you can still see he's got the sponsors on his pants from playing over in Europe. So he's a guy that this is about as you don't want to say that 3-on-3 is made for the little guys, because I don't think that's necessarily fair to say, because obviously some of the smaller guys have a big success at the other levels as well. But I think this game is made for him. He's a guy that's so shifty, great on the puck, big offensive talent to an Oshawa team that already had no problem putting the puck in the net. So maybe we'll see if they have a little bit more commitment to defense today. And Charlie Stevens does start for the London 3's. He's with Cam Salt and Mike Burgoyne. So the London 3's giving Charlie Stevens, putting him right back on the top line. And here he is again to Burgoyne. Burgoyne. Shot is turned away by Rob Alsop. And yeah, you might be, some of these, the jersey colors are a bit similar, but the London 3's in the cream, in the white, the Oshawa 88's. And here's the London 3's setting up. Salt down to Burgoyne to Stevens. Stevens almost has his pocket pick, but keeps control of it. And there you see the first over and back call in, and we talked about it in the pregame. Definitely going to be an adjustment here today. Teams getting used to that new rule. Yeah, essentially all it is that you can't carry or pass the puck back over center once you've gained the offensive zone. Yeah. So it's just what I talked about. Toronto used a big part of their win over Guelph was their ability to just, when they didn't like a look on offense, they just fire it back to their own end and regroup. They won't be able to do that today. 2-on-1, McCormick and Beleshta. McCormick over to Beleshta. Alsop turns that away. McCormick down to Beleshta. Walks around the net. 3's controlling it here early. 88's have not had a possession in the offensive zone.
Baleshta misses that one in front, and Captain Mitch Scott brings it away for the 88's. One-on-one, blows past McCormick, tries to get the backhand. Wigmore with a nice save there. Rich Wigmore, interesting, last weekend his team was eliminated in the first round, but he actually went to the finals. He filled in for the injured Jimmy Sargent with the Newmarket Saints and led them to their first tournament title. McCormick fans on that chance right in front of the net, and Fielding controls it for the 88's. Fielding brings it in. Fielding tries to wrap it around. Wigmore turns that shot away from Boyle. Morgan with it now. Morgan curls. Patty Morgan back with the puck at the blue line. Shot from the top of the circle. Allsup with a nice save there, and that goes into the netting. So early on, we see it, Ian, though we talked about the London 3's coming out with that full lineup intact, and they're putting a lot of pressure here on the 88's early.
And I think, though, you've seen a pretty obvious adjustment for the 88's already. They've been a lot more disciplined in their own end. I think they've done a good job of kind of packing it in, make London work around the outside. I think because we knew coming in, for them to compete, they were going to have to make a bigger commitment to defense because their offense hasn't been an issue. So, I mean, we've seen it pay some dividends here early, but this is a tough team to keep up with.
And here's Stevens back on the ice. He controls it in the corner. Stevens pushed off the puck there. And 2-on-1 for the 88's. Wigmore gets that and turns it into the air. Here's Elrich. What a stop there from Rich Wigmore.
Guy hates the highlight reel.
Yeah, the London 3's goalie with a fantastic glove save to keep this one scoreless. And we mentioned it early. It seems that all the goalies now are household names in the 3HL because Rich Wigmore, a guy who can definitely win you a game. Ehrlich with it now. We mentioned it. Logo still on the pants from his time in Sweden. Wigmore gloves that down. 2:50 to go here in the first half of the first game of the 3HL Guelph games. Stevens across center, dumps it into the corner looking for Salt. Burgoyne corrals it. Burgoyne fires it, hops over the stick of Stevens. Pressured there, 88's coming up with it. Mitch Scott. Blocked there from Burgoyne. 88 still control it. Scott on the half boards. Backhands it into the corner. Scott, the Collingwood native, special moment for him last time in the 3HL Tour stop, playing his hometown. Didn't get the results he wanted, but we heard him pregame saying he's ready to build on that and that he thinks his 88's team's due for a solid run.
The thing for me right now is this first part of the first game is always like this.
Yeah.
It's always a bit of a slow it down, a kind of a feel-out process. And then things all start to heat up. Because I think we thought coming in this game would be a bit of a track meet.
Yep. Baleshta controls. Baleshta, nice little chip there. Fires it in front.
Wow.
What a pass by Lucas Baleshta. And Spencer McCormick finishes it off. 1-0 3's. And a nice little passing play there for the London 3's.
Might be a little early to say it, but that'll be on the top 10.
Yeah, it could be a little early. Boyle back with it for the 88's. Fielding tips it just wide. McCormick, the goal scorer, to Townsend. Back to McCormick. McCormick keeps the puck, tries to bank it in off Allsop. Controlled there by Hosmer. Todd Hosmer. Moves into the slot. Back for Fielding. Baleshta gets his pocket, and they're away again. Baleshta, nice little move there. We saw Kelsey talking to Lukas Baleshta in the pregame, and we mentioned it's some of the slickest hands on the back end in the league, and it's so important. Tyler Townsend in for Patty Morgan. Morgan's shot is blocked. 88's go the other way. 25 seconds here left in the first half. Puck is blocked there. Morgan, as the clock ticks down, 15 seconds. Nice back check by the 88's. And it looks like the 3's are content to let this one wind down and take a 1-0 lead into the second half here of the first game. So Ian, after 7 minutes of play, what is your assessment of the way this game is unfolding?
I mean, Oshawa hasn't been rewarded yet necessarily, but I think they're trying to slow the pace down a little bit, not trying to be as run and gun as they usually are, because it quite simply it hasn't worked out in their favor playing that way. So I think they're trying to take a bit of a different approach. They haven't scored yet, but you've seen the new addition, Daniel Ehrlich's had some chances down at the other end. It's only a matter of time before he gets a bit of a comfort level and puts one in the back of the net.
Let's take a look here at the goal. Great little passing play and move from Boleshta to get it over to McCormick, and we talked about it. Lukasz Boleshta might be, along with Charlie Stevens, one of the two keys to this London 3's offense.
Yeah, and I think he's been maybe a bit of an unsung hero, kind of keeping this team afloat after Stevens and those guys had to take a bit of a leave, if you will. But the guy has all kinds of talent. Nasty hands for a guy on the back end. You don't really see that too often, but you see him making an impact earlier, and he's a guy that obviously hasn't skipped a beat. I mean, he's been you could say maybe the heart and soul of this team, besides obviously Rich Wigmore has been a big factor for this team, and he's made some big saves. I mean, Oshawa still has had some chances. Wigmore has had some big saves, otherwise Oshawa could easily be winning this game.
So the 3's 88's come jump right out of the gate and put pressure in the offensive zone. And Patty Morgan away on a partial break. Morgan gets it into the slot. Nice back check, but a goal there from Nathan Ansell. Nice move there by the 3's forward. And it's 2-0 London.
The former Western Michigan Bronco on the board. But I think now, like we talked about before, this team, when you get those top-end players back, it's not that the other guys they had to begin with weren't good enough. It's just that it makes your team that much deeper. And guys like that, like I said, they don't have the pressure on them to score. It's a little different when your role changes like that.
Burgoyne with it for the 3's. Nice stretch pass to Stevens. 2-on-1 with Cam Salt. Stevens keeps. Gets it over to Salt early. Back to Stevens. Pass intercepted by Fielding. And Charlie Stevens back with it for the 3's. 2-0 for London. Here in the first game of the 3HL Guelph games. Down to Salt. Salt and Stevens were fantastic on New Year's Day. Here they are again. Burgoyne trying to get it over to Cam Salt. Takes a bit of a spill. And the puck is controlled by the 88's. Wigmore didn't get a piece of that. Must have hit an 88's player in front. Stevens with a nice little move. Charlie Stevens snaps one. Allsop with the save. And what a hit there. Stevens a bit shaken up after that. And we mentioned it in the pregame. Not a lot of hitting, but when you do see it, it's a good way to surprise your opponent.
Well, if you don't hit a guy like Charlie Stevens hard, you're just going to bounce off him. So there's a couple big bodies colliding there.
And a nice block there from Boleshta that sends the puck into the netting.
Well, the physical aspect of the game, we mentioned it before, that it plays such a big role in just wearing the other team down.
3's under a bit of pressure. Wigmore turns that away. And that over and back roll playing a bit of a problem.
It does take away a lot of that time and space. I mean, there's still obviously lots of room out there, but makes guys think a little bit more.
And here we go, 2-on-1 for the 88's. Wigmore gets a glove on that one, steers it aside. And Boleshta away with McCormick again. They hooked up on the first goal. Lukasz Boleshta chips it back in front, waits, and what a feed by Boleshta over to McCormick. This duo hooking up for another highlight reel goal.
Boleshta is another guy. We talk about, what makes Charlie Stevens so good is his calmness, his presence with the puck. Baleshta showing he's got a little bit of that too. Both of those goals that he's been in on, just very patient with the puck, willing to make that extra pass to get the easy tap-in goal.
And here's the 3's controlling it now. Sheik over to Ansel. Ansel drops it to Sheik. Looking for Morgan. Morgan in the corner.
See, that's a puck you have to get to now.
And it says, ref says no, must have been tipped by an 88's player, and Patty Morgan gets it back. He's all alone, watched by Mitch Scott, and Scott delivers a big hit. So the 88's captain trying to fire his team up. They're going to need a lot of help as they're down 3-0. And there it is, the ref calls the over and back. So we've seen the call come into effect 2 times, and it takes away a lot of that time and space, and doesn't give teams that bailout opportunity they had where if they didn't see anything to reset all the way back down the ice. So Oshawa gets control of the puck.
Oh, wow.
Stevens pokes it in all alone, and Rich Wigmore robs him. What a glove save from the London 3's goalie.
The outrageous thing about that is it's starting to become status quo.
Yeah. I don't know if the scouting report's out, but
stay away from that
glove. With the glove. And here's Stevens. Stevens with a nice little move and goes top shelf. So Charlie Stevens back on the score sheet in his first game since New Year's Day on the 3HL tour.
Doesn't it seem like that's always the way it works? You get a big save at one end and right down for a goal at the other end. But, Oshawa trailing in this game, obviously, but not for lack of chances.
No, I think, we've seen a couple highlight reel saves from Wigmore, and we've seen the London 3's have a few highlight reel goals themselves. And there's Wigmore again, stymiling the 88's. 88's control. Ehrlich, nice little move. Trying to find his man in front. Puck steered just wide by Hosmer. Hosmer shakes the defender. Hosmer crashes the net, trying to jam it home, but Wigmore stands tall. So a minute to go here. And the 3's with it. And here's Baleshta McCormick again with the net empty, and McCormick's going to get the hat trick in this one. Baleshta with the primary assist in all 3 of McCormick's goals. So Spencer McCormick might have to thank Lucas for that hat trick.
As the 2 of them climb up league scoring, but I think we talk often about what makes the best teams in this league is the depth is a big factor. When you can put a team together top to bottom and everyone's dangerous. London's putting on a prime example of that right now. Charlie Stevens, his first game back, he's obviously scored, but hasn't been nearly as big of a factor as we thought he would be, and it's really made no difference for London. And
Lucas Baleshta is going to put that into the empty cage. So 4 points for Baleshta here in the first game. A dominant performance from number 92. And a dominant, we spoke about it with these guys back, Charlie Stevens and Cam Salt. This is a team that can be very, very dangerous.
Yeah, and you're seeing some of the frustration on the Oshawa bench right now because it sucks coming all the way here, in your game 1, and it just seems like you're barely even here before you're 14 minutes in and you're out.
Yep.
But I will give credit to Oshawa because despite them losing 6-0, I think their game looked a lot better.
Yeah,
that's kind of outrageous to say, or it sounds that way, but in a 6-0 loss that your game would look better. But Rich Wigmore just kind of slammed the door on them, and there's really not some bad bounces. They had one wide open net where he was down and out, and they kind of shoot it off their own player, gets in the way. I thought they played a good game. They were better on defense. You got a couple empty netters on the board. They held London in check for most of the time. Give London credit. Some of those goals took some pretty nice passing. But I did like Oshawa's approach. I thought it was much better. They were tighter on defense, and they still got their chances on offense. I've said that a couple times. They still had a bunch of chances. You just got to cash them in, and some of the other teams have talked about that. So.
And we'll send it down to Kelsey, who's with a member of the London 3's.
All right, Spencer, great game. You won this one 6-0 over Oshawa in your first game. Tell me how you feel.
It's always nice to get the first game under your belt. It's, get the legs and everything into it, so it does feel pretty good to get the win.
You helped your team put $2,000 into the bank now with a hat trick. Let's talk about the chemistry between you and Belishka.
Yeah, we've played together since we were little kids. Even through junior, we always were playing on the line, and he's got a good knack with the puck and find me back door. So pretty easy goals to put in. So give him credit for sure.
All right, let's talk quickly about your goaltender. Had a beautiful save down there. Talk to me about that.
He always likes to have his glove down and he'll flash it a bit. So no, he's really come a long way. He's a hell of a goaltender. So yeah, give him credit as well too.
So 3 goals in this one. What are we going to expect in the next one for you?
Pardon me?
What are we going to expect in the next game?
Hopefully another 3. If I can help my team do that, then yeah, that'd be great.
All right, perfect, guys. Back up to you.